Good morning, good evening, and good day. Welcome to the Z to Z podcast, the home for achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies alike. I am your host, Brandon Freem. Thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do the news, reviews, interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. This week, we've seen our first major delays of 2016, and Activision can't stop spending money. And we also debut our interview with the unofficial world record holder for Xbox 360 for the most Gamerscore earned in 24 hours, none other than Sasha Morning. So let's get this show going because I've got Minecraft 2 downloading and I can't wait to play it. You can always find our show notes for this show as well as previous shows on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 4. You can also contact us with questions and comments at Twitter at Z2Z, that's Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, or you can email us directly, contact@z2z.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement A Night to Remember from the game Wasteland 2 Director's Cut on Xbox One. The achievement description could not be more simple. Get an STD. Although the chance to contract the disease is seemingly random, for a small price of only 15 scrap, you can take time out of your adventuring the wasteland to find some intimate time with some of the entertainment in various brothels throughout the game. Men who get the disease will successfully contract the drippy dragon, while women are treated to the crusty clam. Delightful. Apparently, a level 5 surgeon can clear that right up, but be safe out there, Wastelanders. Special thanks to developer In Exile Entertainment and publisher Deep Silver for that public service achievement. So we had asked previously about sending in achievements you guys might want to hear as a sponsor. Please send us your ideas at the Twitter account at Z2Z. That's Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D. We do have one submission from Yadnark for Solo Champion in Wait a minute. That's just Crandy spelled backwards. Anyway, we'd love to hear your comments. Send them in whenever you get a chance. We'd love to hear it. With that said, let's get this show started with a quick recap of what we've been playing. But first, my co-host. Today I am joined by Terrigan. How are you today, sir?
I'm very good, thanks. Brandon, how are you?
Doing fine. I had mentioned that my wife just started to get sick, so I think it's only a matter of time before I get... I don't think I'm going to get the drippy dragon, but I'm definitely going to get probably the flu.
Okay, so you need to hit the quarantine zone there, I think.
Do you think I should just start living in my basement?
Absolutely, yeah.
I got to set up some video games
what,
down
you mean
here.
You don't live in your basement already?
I don't. I'm not quite as troll-like as I may sound. I don't know.
Well, Brandon.
What's up?
I have a public service announcement.
Another one. We opened the show with a public service announcement.
Yes, but this one's a slightly more serious one.
Okay.
I've been reading a lot of people having trouble getting access to the Achievements app on the Xbox One, or at least getting the Achievements app to open in full screen. So I've just got a little sort of description on how to actually do that. And it's actually not that difficult. Basically, you double tap the Xbox button, go up to select your profile, press A twice, which will then open up your profile options, and select My Achievements. And that will then open up the Achievements app in the full screen glory that it used to be before the Xbox the new Xbox experience came out. Now, I picked this up from Reddit, and actually in that Reddit thread, Xbox Quick, who is otherwise known as Mike Ibarra, actually commented there to say that we will make this easier soon. I agree it is too hard right now. So just a shout out there to Mike, because he's on top of the community stuff and is certainly responding to all that kind of feedback.
Which I absolutely do appreciate. He is very attuned to the community, and he has no reason. He doesn't need to be. And so,
but it's very good to see. I actually really appreciate that myself, and I'm sure many other people do.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing that came from Reddit as well, and I just wanted to sort of throw this out there, there's a question. Where are all the new gamer picks on Xbox One? It's like I think we've had 8 since release, and there was meant to be lots and lots and lots of these things, but there hasn't really been very many at all. So I kind of wonder that. I guess we'll just throw it out there. But yeah, what do you think about that, Brandon?
Well, I mean, so I used the base level, the one that first came out, Zombie, and that's the Zombie for me. I love the cartoony zombies, so I'm not really looking for new gamer picks, but you'd think. I mean, so you're alluding to that they've actually released some already.
I think they added about 8 at some point.
Okay. Did they announce it? Did they let anyone else know?
Because I think it was a while ago. It was in relation to something. I forget exactly, but I do recall something about it happening at the time. But yeah, there's not really been much action in that space.
Maybe it's linked to challenges.
Maybe, yeah, maybe or to Connect.
It could be. Could be. Well, let's move on with the show. We've got a ton of listener feedback that started to pour in. So thank you so much for all of you that took time to either send us private messages or we'll do a whole list of people that we're going to thank toward the end of the show because it is extensive. We couldn't do this without you because somebody needs to listen to it. I mean, I listen to my own. But I'm only slightly egotistical, and that's not going to be enough to cover all the people I want to reach. So please, please, please listen to the show, review us, rate us, all sorts of fun things.
Please keep Brandon's ego in check.
It is flying high. Anyway, we got our first iTunes review, and it was a 5-star review. Thank you so much. And it is simply, love the show. Keep it up, from Jelly55 TYUIO. We so much appreciate that. That is fantastic. We've also got some comments through our website on where you can get the show at z2z.com. Facial LaFleur, friend from the Achievement Hounds community, left 2 comments. First one, he reached out to me about the Tiger Woods 14 online stuff, but more importantly, he mentioned, and I will quote it, "Another fantastic show, guys. I really dig your format. It's much more interesting than talking about every last achievement you earned last week. Looking forward to episode 4. Well, here it is, Facial. It's episode 4, and you, Floor. Episode 4. There you go. You get your own episode name. Yep. He did also send a message saying, well, when are you going to start having guests, famous or otherwise? Well, it's this episode, Facial. These things have all been in the works. It's just a matter of, tying them right to a show that's appropriate. And in this instance, because Crandy's not necessarily here, or is he? We'll see. Anyway, we're getting started on our interviews. There's others in the works. They'll keep coming. Enjoy the Sasha Morning interview later in the episode. It's going to be great. We also got some Twitter comments. Montana97, part of the Achievement Hounds community, he is super excited, and his tweet said, just listen to episode 3 today, guys. Great show. Thank you for the Bean Dive shout-out. Montana97, one of the 3 people still in that ridiculous bean dive we talked about in episode 3.
Indeed. Those guys are crazy.
Count? Do you know what the count is now? It's got to be like 1,050 or something.
Yeah, I think it's in the 1,050s or 1,060s. I'd need to go and run the little script over to calculate that all again. But
unbelievable. Yeah. I cannot fathom how they do that. So, Montana, your second shout-out on episode 4. I hope you enjoy it. And our last Twitter commenter, McLovin Legend 1. So happy to have a new episode of the podcast out. Gives me something decent to listen to at work. Thanks, and keep up the good work. McLovin also fired off a question to us, and we're gonna address it right now. Did you guys buy any games during the countdown sale? So I'm going to start. I did not. I actually skipped it. I was pretty disappointed in the sale. Now, that being said, I would have bought Ori and Life is Strange. I mean, those were the same price points, but they had that same sale during the Game Awards.
Brandon,
and
please.
That's why I picked them up.
Brandon?
What?
Please, let me. Here's how you do it. Right. Okay, well, you asked, and now you've opened the box. So here we go. Here's what I bought during the sale. Alien Isolation, Boomball for Kinect, Squid Hero for Kinect, Extreme Exorcism, Velocity 2 times, The Legend of Korra twice, Cars 2, Toy Story 3, Split Second, Adventures of Pip, King's Quest twice, Ori and the Blind Forest, Bedlam, Super Time Force, Joyride Turbo, Don't Starve Giant Edition. Now they're the ones that I'm sure of, and there was a bunch of others that I'm not sure of, which are Amy, Baseball Ride, Battle High 2A+, Castle Crashes, Castle Storm, Destroy All Humans, Feeding Frenzy 2, Fireburst, Guacamole, Legend of K, Rock Zombie, Super Party Sports Football, Yoho Kablamo, and Zuma. And that wasn't even all the games I bought last month.
That's ridiculous. You know, I was when you said I don't even know anymore, like I'm just picturing you doing like your RTS clicks per second. I just got to start buying stuff as fast as I can. Yes, confirm. Yes, confirm.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't. You'll never guess how many games I've already bought this month.
This month is 8 days old.
Exactly.
So is it? Well, let's see. You had been doing 2 per day. Are you at 16?
I'm pretty close, I think, actually.
Keep up your pace. Yeah. You're doing it. Fantastic.
If only there was a leaderboard for that.
I hope, you don't need that much food because you will not have any money to purchase groceries. It's not important, though, right?
No. Gaming's life.
Yeah. You don't have any kids, so go nuts. There's nobody. The only thing you need to do every day is not die. That is your number one goal. As long as you can wake up the next day. Tick that box
every day, I'm good.
It was successful. So, at some point you might need to find sustenance. If that means, it's summertime where you're at. So if that means going outside and shoving fistfuls of grass in your mouth, then so be it. But, whatever it takes.
As long as there's coffee, I'm fine.
Coffee and yard waste. Fantastic.
Yep,
it's free. Wonderful. Well, let's move into our recap of kind of what we've been playing this last week.
Hey guys, stop the show. I'm here now.
Whoa, oh my goodness. Crandy comes out of nowhere, jumps into the middle of the show. Geez, since you're here, why don't you just tell us what you've been playing this week?
Oh, I've been playing Gra this week.
What's that?
What a shocker.
What? No.
So you took a little bit of time out to send us a tweet, and now I'm on to you. I'm on to your little tricks here. Yeah. And so now you've been plugging away. Anything fun to mention about it, or it's still?
Oh, it's very exciting.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Every match is different. You spawn in different spots on the same map for the 30,000th time. It's exciting.
Well, fantastic. Well, perhaps you can fill us in a little bit more on that later. Anything else, or should we let Terrigan talk about all the fantastic games he did?
I started Volgar the Viking. I don't know how I feel about that yet.
Oh my God! There's a feed on Twitch that of me playing for about an hour, ridiculously frustrated with that, and it got to the point where I got my achievement I wanted. I only wanted one achievement, and I got it, and then I felt obligated because people were watching to complete the level, and it was brutal.
I thought you were going to say I was just going to. I feel obligated to just delete the game.
Yeah, I can get through the first level pretty consistently without dying now, but it's going to be a while before I can do a whole game run.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you care about your completion, that's not another game I'd put on my tag.
No, that is not an easy completion. That's for darn sure.
It's not bad once you get the jumping down. The no movement in the air thing is throwing me off. But
yeah.
It's not... I don't think it's going to take me that long. I think it's pretty doable. I think it's one of those games that's kind of a little overinflated for me in Games with Gold. It's definitely not easy, but I don't think it's going to be too impossible.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'd like to see how that pans out for you.
Because at first I was like you. I was dying a lot.
Yeah.
And then after I kind of put a couple hours in, it was going much smoother. And I watched a little bit of a perfect run to kind of get some technique down.
Sure.
And that helped a bit too.
Yeah, it's a lot of being patient. I even mentioned on that stream, like I am so impatient. It's like I just can't wait. I want to make my jump now, and of course, there's a dude there with a flame arrow or something, and yeah, just constantly dying. Anyway, so Terrigan, how about you? What have you been doing this last week?
I've been playing some thrilling games. I've been playing the Snoopy game. times 2. So I played it on both Xbox 360 and Xbox One now and got the completion. Jackbox Party Pack, been working my way through that. 900 odd points in that is, or 950 maybe, is really, really quick and easy. And then the last achievement just takes forever. You've basically got to go through like 50 episodes of You Don't Know Jack, picking a particular answer to a particular question, and it just takes forever. So I'm working through that, and Superstar Karaoke, I'm still trying to get that ridiculous luck-based achievement to pop, and haven't had any luck so far. And that's about it for me over the last week or so. What about you?
Well, let's see. So my son and I started up Disney Infinity 3.0. He got that for Christmas and wanted to give it a little test run. And after playing a touch of that, I felt obligated to go back and really finish Disney 2.0. And so I want to get this done. It's so close, except so what I've done now is I still need to get my characters to level 20. And I've got like 14, 16 of these little, critters, toys to life things. And so I'd been working on Rocket Raccoon. I got him up to level 20 by playing some of the single-player stuff. And I said, okay, I'm too far away for the other guys. So I went online, and because it's it's a programmable game type, in the toy box, you can set up all these logic connections, and there is a fantastic walkthrough on how to set up an enemy killing machine. Simply put your enemy generators down, link them to repeaters, kill switches, and a trigger, and you can stand there while bosses spawn and instantly die. Spawn, die, spawn, die. So you can rack up free XP, free money to purchase in-game, doodads. Now, the problem is as you continue to do that, it's the experience orbs kind of dwindle. They never go to 0, but you're not getting as much bang for your buck as when you first start doing it.
Is that based on your level? Is the higher up in level you go, the less XP you get from low level things?
I think it's a matter of repeating. Yeah, I think it's a matter of cycles that they just kind of they're like, we're on to you, buddy. We're just gonna put a governor on how much experience is coming out of this thing. Now, that being said, it never stops. Yes, you can. So based on the site, and I didn't see this when I did it myself, but according to the site, you can, if you save your toy box prior to setting up the logic connections, that when you reset up the logic connections, that's kind of a hard reset. I will say when I started, so I had done it yesterday, grinded out some levels, and something happened and the game exploded. All of a sudden, black screen, death to everything. I was like, "Oh my god, my game is dead!" But at that point, it was 1 a.m, and I needed to work at 5 a.m. So I said, "Yeah, I'm going to assume, right? I'm going to assume my Xbox is not going to burst into flames, and it will work tomorrow." We'll find out. And so, sure enough, it booted up. Game started. Everything's just fine. So that 1 day break, when I first started up the machine, XP was coming out in copious amounts. It was great. Then it dwindled quite a bit. But the other things I haven't done is that there's plenty of feats and things I still need to do. And so here's a little tip. If you have 2 characters and 2 controllers, you can put your second character in the middle of your little enemy XP boosting jobber, and you share XP. So any XP he gets split between the 2 characters. And so what I'm doing is Star-Lord is standing over on an enemy generator collecting XP on my secondary account, while Nova is over running around in the toy box trying to set up stupid creative toys to unlock these feats, which are... They're probably easy for you guys because you're programmers. You understand how logic connections work. Not so much for me. I'm struggling through it, but I just got my 50th today, so I only have 40 more. And really, if you don't want to do the toy box ones, there's plenty of playset ones like the single player stuff that you can do. That is, just killing dudes and If you can borrow somebody else's, there's like, if you happen to find Hulk, smash 25 things. If you have Merida, freeze 10 guys with your freeze arrow. There's some easy ones out there, but I think there's 236 and you need 90 for the achievement. So
I should know. I'm not a programmer.
Oh.
I'm a finance guy.
Oh,
more related to what's coming up next.
There you go. Well, so the other thing that my son and I have been playing, Rayman Legends, still working through finishing that thing up. Got a few more.
Just before you go on, you'll have to give me the link to that guide for the XP setup. I'll put that in the show notes for anyone who's interested.
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to find it again. I literally just did a Google search, and I don't even remember what I clicked on.
I've heard from one of my friends too that he did that. So
you can, if you
good words on that one
for sure. If you plug in a controller and rubber band it, like it'll go. You can let it go overnight, and it'll just take a while because your XP dwindles, and if you're not moving around that much, it's hard to pick up the items. But you can like build a little wall, like almost an ice rink, and just have your dude walk around the ice rink and collect all the XP orbs. I mean, you can let this thing, set it and forget it. Of course, your Xbox could explode like mine did, and we'll see. But so anyway, yes, I will. That will be in the show notes. Rayman Legends, more progress, getting there. I think we have 30 teensies left and 600,000 looms. Yeah, that's going to be a monster. And then the other thing, so Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor. I did it. The hunt is my mistress. I completed it. Here's where my critical flaw was. And I didn't mention this on the last show because I was struggling with it. Now, it did take me significantly more time to figure this thing out, and then I was like, this can't be done. I'm got to be doing something wrong. Yes, I was totally doing something wrong. Here's what happens when you're running around and you've got your war chief, like I mentioned on episode 3. You're holding your war chief. You tell him to go riot somebody. If you want to look and see who the bodyguards that are attached to that person, if you have intel, sometimes you won't be able to see them. And when you get to the fight, you get on your Graug, and you start eating all the chieftains. You have to kill the Graug. I was not doing that. I was just jumping off to be like, oh, quick, I got to go get my my war chief to go have him fight somebody else. Hold the right trigger and hit B, and you execute your Graug for like 300 points. And you throughout the whole thing, I mean, that's like 2,500, 3,000 points. You end up killing a ton of Graugs. And even if like you're just kind of walking around, if you're up in your tower and you need to go to a battle site, throw on Wraith Vision and see if there's anyone you can shadow strike, because that'll launch you way further than running there. So if you can find like a Karagath that you can shadow mount, hop on that dude and take him to where you need to go. Execute him. Every Karagath you get is 150, 120 points. Killing those beasts when you're done riding them really racks up the XP. And then the other thing is, and this was just a happenstance. You can't really plan for it, but it was a happy accident on the run where I did actually complete this thing. Is if you kill the war chief first, one of his bodyguards will be promoted to the new war chief, but the other bodyguards, there might be 2, there might be whatever, they'll take off running. And so what ended up happening is the guy who got promoted was afraid of Graugs, and so all 3 chieftains started running. When they're green and running away, the Graug can just run over them. You don't even need to pick them up and eat them. You can just walk right over them and squish them under your foot. That animation time is significantly faster than picking them up and eating them, and so it saves a ton of time in the long run. Suffice it to say, the other helpful tip that I will give you is when you go to riot with a war chief against another war chief and he doesn't have any bodyguards near him, go to the watchtower near him and hit the Y button instead of the X button. The Y button advances time, and that allows the other war chiefs to get promoted. The only downfall, the only pitfall to kind of look out for is if there's not enough chieftains to fulfill your eating 10 of them goal. Because those chieftains will get promoted to war chiefs, and the war chiefs don't count for the animal kills. But there's a better chance that one of those will become a bodyguard, and you can, have more guys show up at one time. And it also helps because, so when I did my run, at 24 minutes, I had killed every war chief, had my 10 beast kills, and I had 8 guys left to go get. The problem is they were all 8 random chieftains, and so I had to fight each one of those individually. And so that 24 minutes all of a sudden got pushed that took me 12 minutes to do all of those individual guys, because you've got to challenge them, show up at their spot, meet them 1-to-1, wait for the Graug to show up for the instant kill, or you can try and fight them by yourself quick. So by advancing time and kind of grouping these guys together, it will give you a better opportunity to find more and kill more at one time. So anyway, long story short, got it all done, finished that DLC. I was ready to get really pissed at the game. Thankfully, it's done, and I feel much better about it. So
congratulations, then.
There's that. Now I just have the Bright Lord to take care of. So with that being said, I think we should move into the news segment. Just a couple of quick things that we wanted to touch on. I mentioned at the top of the show, fresh off of buying Candy Crush owner's King, Activision goes out and scoops up another company. They actually went and spent $46 million to help pay off MLG's massive debt. Apparently 31 million of that 46 went to just paying down their debt.
Wow.
And then the rest of it was to buy up the remaining shares, so they were a majority shareholder. And since they just bought up a majority, that purchase doesn't cover like other shareholders, and so they're not terribly happy, because there's probably not going to be much money going around for those shareholders of MLG. But it looks like now Activision's trying to corner the mobile market, and now they probably hot off the heels of EA opening their esports division, wants to promote this MLG name for their esports. They're tied very significantly into Blizzard. I can only imagine how much StarCraft we're going to be seeing. But there you have it. So, yeah, Activision can't stop spending money.
I think this is interesting with the shareholders not being covered. I had read about this too, and some of the shareholders getting upset. But I think what they should really view it as is not an acquisition, but as more of MLG going bankrupt and being
bailed
restarted under Activision.
Bailed out, essentially.
Yeah, because really what it is some people would have got money or nobody got money. Because
absolutely, yeah, because
that's a lot of debt.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
31 million of your $46 million company, and 46 million is likely more than the company is worth, because usually that happens in acquisitions is companies tend to overpay. So that's a lot of debt.
Absolutely.
That's bankruptcy debt.
It is. You got to wonder, like, where that. I mean, we're not talking about purses, right? It's not, because they're not funding the Dota, are they? I think that's all. That's a different company. So I don't know what MLG racks up this much debt.
I haven't even heard of MLG in ages.
I know,
because they were a thing for a while, but I kind of suspect the debt might have been with like I don't know, maybe they don't own the Major League. Maybe Major League is some kind of thing they had to pay royalties
like a
to
trademark or something that they
yeah, maybe
could be,
because I don't know, because I really, like you said, I don't know what they're spending all their money on.
Helicopters.
It's probably yachts for all the people who work there or something.
So
I would guess it's probably some kind of royalty for something.
It's entirely possible. I mean, it's a fantastic logo. Like, the branding is great. Like, and I can see why Activision would be interested in it. Well, and so many people know the name. I mean, they haven't been around for. Well, I mean, they're around, but not as prominent in recent years. But I think
most people, even people who have been gaming for that long, would recognize it. That was kind of a thing.
So it really seems like Activision's bought it just for the trademark and the name.
Pretty much.
I think so too.
Yeah, and then they can apply it to their own division.
I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of closed down whatever MLG's current operation is and just.
Well, and the thing is, if their current operation isn't making any money and is losing that much money, it's a bit of a no-brainer to kind of shut that stuff down and do something different.
Well, I suppose the alternative is, opposed to shutting it down, they could try and turn it around. But I think it's probably more likely they just wanted the name and they're going to slap it on whatever their plans are.
Totally agree. Well, the Xbox One likely not doing the same thing, but there is talk about possibly seeing a smaller, less expensive Xbox One in 2016. This the rumor mill is churning with having like a competitor to Apple TV where you're just buying Windows Store content. Does this do anything for you? Do you care about this?
I think it's stupid.
I totally do
not
too.
Really.
And it's not really an Xbox One at that point. It's not it's something else that they just happen to call an Xbox One.
It's a Microsoft TV.
Yeah,
basically.
Or even you could call it Xbox TV.
Yeah.
Either way, it's the same thing. It's not an Xbox One.
I mean, essentially, it's just a glorified screen to be playing phone games on, right? I mean, is that essentially what I'm getting out of this?
Yeah, probably. I guess I wonder if it'll have access to sort of full-size games like, Rise of the Tomb Raider on Windows 10, that platform or not. I guess it really depends how powerful it is.
So I think we should just call it the Xbox 0.5 or the Xbox One half. Maybe
the Xbox half.
Yeah, I think 1/2 is good.
Or 1/4. We'll see. Other news that had come out. Now, I'm not going to consider this a game delay because it was never actually announced. It was just assumed. But the rumor out there is that Assassin's Creed is going to take the year off. There was multiple leaks of this rumor. One such story that I think is probably the most entertaining because it's significantly detailed. But it also comes from a gentleman on 4chan. So, take it with a grain of salt. We don't quite know, but he claims to be a Ubisoft developer.
He claims to be a dude on the internet.
There's that. So, Anonymous here it posts that it's supposed to be set in Egypt, and it's being codenamed Empire. He had talked about still no co-op, no multiplayer. Like, they're not going back down that road, which I love from an achievement standpoint because I hate that garbage. He also said it was going to kind of be like a prequel. Like, it's going to be before even Templars and Assassins like have their feud. He's a slave of the pyramid builders, and he your character, there's talk about controlling like an eagle as your follower or whatever, and like, so the reason all this is kind of percolating is it's starting to make sense. It's like, well, yeah, they got that Far Cry Primal, and Ubisoft likes to share assets. Like, maybe there's some legitimacy to this. I think the bigger news is Assassin's Creed is actually going to take a year off. Like,
which I think is ultimately a good thing. They were kind of churning it out a bit too much, and I think I read in one of the articles that and something I certainly share is there's a bit of franchise fatigue. It's just too many of the games out there, and I mean, you and I both have a backlog of those particular games that we just haven't got to because there's just too many, and it feels like there's always another one just coming out. So
I totally agree. I think annualized franchises are a disaster.
Look at what happened with Guitar Hero in the later years of its first round. They were releasing, 2-3 plus games a year?
Yeah, which was just way too many.
It was too much. I think this is a great thing. I'm not a fan of Assassin's Creed. I played the first one, hated it, and I haven't played one since.
You should really try number 2. It was a lot better than 1.
I have all of them except for
Syndicate,
the last 1 or 2. because I've got a friend that wants to boost them all, so he gave them all to me. But I do plan on playing them eventually. It's just, every year is too much. You can't make a quality game in a year.
No,
or
and
a quality game that big. You
Yeah.
could make a quality game that was much smaller, but a game the size of Assassin's Creed, you can't do it well in a year. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
guess you can. It's just that you need to have rotating studios to make it viable, and
Call
even
of
then,
Duty.
you're still pushing it. And I think even the Assassin's Creed had two studios working on it. So every second one, I think, was coming out under a different studio.
Well, I don't know. Have you ever beaten a Ubisoft game? There's like a bajillion people who work on those titles.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
That's the longest credits ever. But, from my standpoint, annualized franchises as a concept, I think for Assassin's Creed, franchise fatigue is such a big deal because there's a story here, and they're not doing that much different each time. Yes, the location changes, but that's not enough to keep a franchise fresh.
I've felt that a little bit with so I've played through 3 and through 4, Black Flag, and I sort of felt like the overarching story, the story that sort of goes on in the real world, not the memory sort of world that the rest of like the main gameplay is set in, that hasn't really progressed. It doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere. And that's a bit disappointing because that's sort of, it is the overarching principle and sort of it defines how the game works. I was actually heavily invested in that story from Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood and Revelations, and then they kind of stopped around 3 and it changed and they haven't really followed up with it, and that's, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of missing a bit, and I sort of hope they bring that back or at least start to resolve some of the things that are going on the outside.
But I think that's the issue, is they got freaked out with how lucrative the series was, and they're like, we're kind of running out of modern day story. We need to take a sharp left here, because if we close out the modern day story, then we're doomed, because that's like our end game, right? I mean, that's ultimately what they're building to, and I totally agree. I think that story is really compelling, and I mean, ultimately, don't we all think, like, pretend it's not Watch Dogs, but like, Assassin's Creed modern times, like, isn't that kind of what we want to see at some point we get there? Kind of to close out the whole series?
Assassin's Creed Future.
Oh, I don't want Future. I'm totally done with Future. I'll take modern times.
Assassin's Creed Halo Edition.
Yeah, there you go.
I might be interested in Future. I could maybe give that a go.
So
I wouldn't buy it full price.
Oh, well, that's the beauty of Ubisoft. They discount things within 3 months. You can get it for $20.
No, I picked up Watch Dogs like 6 months after it came out for like $8.
Yeah,
it was great.
Well, it also didn't hurt that Watch Dogs was not best reviewed. Now, the funny thing is hidden within this little spiel by 4chan guy, he also makes an announcement about Watch Dogs, that Watch Dogs 2 is supposed to be coming out this year, and it's going to be set in San Francisco. And so maybe they're going to be doing the alternating Watch Dogs Assassin's Creed every other year. So
hopefully they'll find a different protagonist, because the protagonist in Watch Dogs was just awful.
Aiden? Yeah. Do you think Aiden made his trip out to San Francisco? Yeah, I hope not.
I don't know. He just wasn't likable. That's the problem. Ezio was very likable in the Assassin's Creed series, whereas just Aiden, there was nothing to really connect with on with him, I suppose.
Yeah,
San Francisco would make sense too. They've got an office there.
It'll be easier to take photos of buildings.
There you
exactly.
go. They just field work isn't quite so difficult.
I could go down to the office and be like, "Hey guys, gonna tell me about Watch Dogs 2?"
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd be very, very interested to tell me.
I wonder if they'll take the Bethesda route of announcing at E3 and launching in November. That'd be. I would give that a thumbs up. Although I hope it's better than Watch Dogs 1. But if they follow the Assassin's Creed model, Assassin's Creed 1, dreadful mess. Assassin's Creed 2, highlight of the series. So
yeah, and to be fair, I actually quite enjoyed Assassin's Creed. as it was. I think a lot of people didn't really connect very well with the story and the history of it, whereas I did. And so I got into Assassin's Creed number 1 pretty heavily. Assassin's Creed 2 kind of took everything that didn't really work that well in Assassin's Creed 1 and made it a hell of a lot better. And so that's usually seen as the sort of the peak of the series. And Brotherhood sort of continued in that vein. Yeah. Watch Dogs might go the same route because I think the core gameplay of Watch Dogs was actually pretty fun, and I certainly had a lot of fun with it. It's just the story...
Yeah, needed some work.
And certainly the protagonist has to be likable, I think.
Yeah, and well,
I haven't played Watch Dogs yet, but like I've heard it just seemed like it was lazy, more than it really having issues. But if they go around if that's the case and they go around the second time and don't make it lazy, then I think the concept definitely has potential. So
yeah, and I think you give them another couple years with using Xbox One hardware and learning what they can do. Because boy, I remember seeing those trailers and stuff and just thinking, oh my gosh, the next gen is here. Look at this. This is amazing. Yeah, and then you just get a really
cars don't flip over.
A really crappy driving simulator. Before we move away from annualized franchises, how do you guys feel about like the Call of Duties, where you're essentially paying $60 for a map pack?
Like Destiny.
Kind of.
Zing.
I haven't played Call of Duty since Black Ops 1. I think it's horribly overpriced. The DLCs are ridiculous. $15 for 2 maps and a zombie map or something like that.
Pretty much.
It's insane. And the same thing with sports games too. I mean, I'm not really into sports games. I've never really played them, but my understanding is you basically pay $60 a year for an updated roster and like one new feature or something.
Pretty much. And that's what kills me. It's like, look, I know there's so much money out there and it's never going to happen, but the sports games in particular just make sense to have a hub and, just you pay every year for a roster update. Or you know what? Could you get somebody on a subscription model? Like, hey, here's Madden every year. You get your subscription. Oh, yeah, and by the way, here's Sports Illustrated with it. You pay
Honestly,
for your...
they could probably just get away with free-to-play at this point because like some of the stuff I've been hearing of the amount of money people are dropping on those card packs. It's unreal.
Oh, draft champions thing.
Yeah, well, an alternate sort of, the subscription model would actually make sense. You pay a relatively low subscription fee for it, and every year they just do an engine update because they do changes to the core gameplay. They could just do an engine update as part of the subscription, and that way everybody ends up on the same sort of platform. How that would affect achievements would be one thing. An interesting question to kind of
title
work
updates.
out, but we all love those.
You also wouldn't have to worry about servers closing.
Exactly, because it would all be the same server, except that if you wanted to play the game, of course, you'd have to get the latest engine update, and whether or not that would bar you from older releases or something, and whether or not the achievements are based on the current year's roster or previous years and that sort of thing. It's certainly something that they could look at doing, and I suspect the subscription model would actually work very well for sports games like that because there are a hardcore bunch of people who get those games every year.
Oh, absolutely.
Without fail.
Except the problem is the subscription would have to be more than the $60 a year for the games because people are still buying them every year anyway. They don't need to have a subscription model. They already do. It's
an annual update.
It's the subscription model where you walk into the shop and buy it instead. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But I'm wondering if it would be more palatable, like from maybe a less hardcore gamer to be like, oh yeah, it's only like $5 a month, and not even think like
which
still
ends up being $60 a year,
right? But now you have you don't have to wait for the windfall in August. You get a monthly dollar figure coming in, and then you can pull back on what you actually release. You go.
The only thing you have to worry about that is what do you set the entry price at? Because you could play for a month, cancel your subscription, come back next year when the roster updates, get the newest version, but only pay $10.
Disney Infinity. Or Skylanders.
Okay, so what you're saying is that we need to release a FIFA game which has a little platform that you plug in and you buy the players and put them on the platform to play with them.
You get card packs. You go buy card packs.
Like real card packs, and you have like a card holder which you slot them into.
$300 a pack.
All right, I think we need to kill the podcast and go invent this, foosball machine that you can just slide cards into. And yeah, this is our idea.
Let's take this to EA. We got something here.
Well, fantastic. Hey, speaking of making some extra money, did any of you guys pre-order that Oculus Rift? You only had about 14 minutes before it sold out.
Although someone I know actually did buy one, which is and they're not even. I'm not even sure they were really a hardcore gamer, but they sort of were tweeting about it. And it's like, yep. Well, I just accidentally bought one of these. Like, how do you accidentally do? Yeah, okay.
I mean, when the price came out at $600, I thought,
that's $600 US as well.
Yeah,
that's getting US. Into nearly $8 or $8.50 or something like that in Australian.
That's expensive, but
especially right now with the US dollar being pretty strong, relative to a lot of currencies.
But I don't think it's ridiculous, though. Like,
that's actually more than a console now that I think about it.
Oh, yeah, it is. Jesus. But I look at what you get, and it's like I mean, you're getting a lot of tech. Brand new tech.
But think about something like a smartphone. Like, I just bought a new phone. That was $700.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, they just have those deals.
I guess.
They cost a lot of money to make.
But I can't make phone calls with my Oculus Rift.
That's true.
Can I browse the internet with it? Can I check my email?
You know what you can do?
What exactly are you going to do with your Oculus Rift? Are you going to play what games that come out for it?
They have 2 pack-in games.
Right, so there's 2 games, and depending on whether or not it succeeds, there will be more, maybe, or not.
What's that? Can you play that tech demo? Don't stop talking or everyone will explode or whatever? That tech demo is brilliant. The bomb diffusing one. Game? Yeah.
That game's ridiculous.
That's a fantastic concept.
I haven't played it. No, it is. It's great.
It's brilliant.
But it's just crazy, like how intense that game is. I just can't imagine ever winning. Like, it's just you got to have 4 people that are that on point.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's insane.
No, it's fantastic. And
you'll have to send me the link to that later. So I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a simple concept. It's the person with the Oculus can they see the bomb in front of them, and the people standing around this person have the instruction manuals on how to, like, physical books, physical manuals on how to disarm it. And so the person who's looking at it is like, okay, it's a square. It's got there's like a metal plate up here. There's this, and the person's reading it like, what color are the wires? What do you see? What else is? I mean, they're just, and you're seeing this timer go down, and you're just panicking like, what am I gonna do? Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
That sort of reminds me of a
play it on a computer too. I don't think it has to be Oculus.
Oh really?
It would definitely be cooler with Oculus.
That really reminds me of a mobile game. There's a mobile game called Space Team. And it's a co-op game. You basically get people in the same room with their mobile devices, and everybody's got a control panel in front of them with just technobabble things all over labels all over the controls. And on your screen, you'll have something that says, wind the gobbledygook to 2. And you don't have that control, so you've got to yell it out to somebody else who has that control, and they've got to switch it before the time runs out. And so you've got, 4 or 5 people all doing this, yelling at each other to try and get these things to... Yeah, it's pretty funny and pretty chaotic.
Yeah, that sounds very similar.
That sounds like Mobile Bop It.
Kind of, yeah.
Bop it.
But it's just funny because all of the technobabble, it's a lot of it's lifted from like Star Trek and those sort of shows.
Sure, right.
So it's just really funny and ludicrous kind of.
Very like Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're laughing because you're just reading out things that are so completely ridiculous.
Right.
Whilst at the same time you've got this stress of a timer going down. You've got to get that. Anyway,
that's brilliant. Well, the last thing that I mentioned in the intro is I'm really excited Minecraft 2 Pocket Edition. Downloaded it. I'm really pumped to play this. And it turns out it's a scam. I can't believe it. How can a developer even think that it's possible to blatantly rip off? I mean, I know there's copycats on the mobile market.
Hang on, it's a scam? But I just bought the Sonic upgrade for that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, have you played it yet? Apparently, when you sign in, it takes Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and you just swipe attack dudes. So not only is the developer pissing off Mojang and Microsoft, they also went after Mortal Kombat Warner Brothers at the same time. So they're just going down in a ball of fire. But apparently this has been on...
They're going to get sued.
Hardcore.
Like crazy.
Hardcore. And like... Apparently, it's been on the iTunes store or whatever, Apple store for like 2 weeks, and people like just started figuring it out. Look.
Yeah, well, because once it picks up momentum, then it kind of keeps
snowballs
rising
like crazy.
Yeah.
I'll just go by that now.
You got. I mean,
it almost makes me want to try it.
To do a cash grab like that. What is your? Do you have a name for your shovelware? Is it going to be? Minecraft 2? Did they just take your name? Are you the Minecraft 2 guy?
No, my shovelware name is Big Rigs Truckin'.
Nice.
Okay. So, is that a code name or is it the actual?
I think that's going to be final. It's not like final, but pretty solid.
So Big Rigs Truckin'. Big Rigs Truckin', and it doesn't actually have trucks or big rigs in it, right?
Oh no, it does.
Oh, okay.
No, it does.
Wow. Okay, so it actually relates to the game.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see it. Let's move into the feature content. We mentioned it at the top of the show. No Talking Zeds this week. What we do have is an interview with the unofficial world record holder for the Xbox 360, most gamer score earned in 24 hours. Terrigan had a wonderful conversation with Sasha Morning. Here, have a listen.
I'm sitting down with David DeCourt, who goes by the gamertag Sasha Morning. Recently, Sasha Morning attempted a world record for the most gamer score on Xbox 360 in 24 hours. He managed to earn about 23,000 gamer score in 24 hours, which is the most that anybody's ever done. I'm going to speak to him about that and some other things. So how are you, David?
I'm doing well. And how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. So just wanted to speak to you a little bit just about your background. So firstly, what do you do when you're not gaming?
A lot more than I used to. When I'm not gaming, I teach at a local college. I teach chemistry, chemistry lab, intro, chemistry for non-majors. And that's what I do now. I used to do other things, but I really like what I'm doing now, so... It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm.
All right. So how did you actually get into gaming?
How I got into gaming? I don't want to I don't want to kind of give my age away. I spent a long time between gaming systems, and when I finally got out of college, you know what happened was it's funny. NCAA football used to be on the PC, and I never had a system. And they stopped making it for the PC, and I got very kind of tired of that. I'm like, wait a minute, And so I talked to my wife, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get a console. And I ended up picking up the 360. I'm sorry, the Xbox. It was original Xbox. The original Xbox because it had Halo. I had no one way or the other, PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo. Halo looks good, so I picked that one up, and then. Kind of got into it from there. Not nearly as much then as I do now. I got the 360 at launch, and still didn't really play that much until Gamerscore. Microsoft's evil idea to come up with Gamerscore and make us all addicts on here.
Well, that leads into my next question: is how did you get into Gamerscore? Obviously, the Xbox 360 coming out and introducing it's a good starter, but. How did you get into it in a hardcore way?
Hardcore. It's my OCD totally. I don't know. I was looking for a solution for something, and I remember looking for the solution for whatever it was. It was a long time ago, clearly, and stumbled across True Achievements, and all of the stuff there. I'm like, wow, I only have like a 30% completion ratio. What am I doing? And so,
True Achievements is the true gateway drug for gamer score. I think
it really is the gateway drug. There's no once you're hooked, and so that's where it kind of started. And then I think soon after that, I was into with some friends, and there was a competition going on, and so we decided, hey, let's try this. Oops, yeah. Then we're really hooked, and and it's just all from there.
Well, speaking of competitions, you do compete in the GTASC, which is the Great True Achievement Scoring Challenge every year. I think last year, I think you made it to the final week.
We did.
How did you find that competition last year?
I'm with my team is made up of Inigo Montoya 80 and Christy 0811, and they're just two fantastic gamers. Fantastic friends, and we've known each other for several years. So when we got about doing that competition, we just kind of naturally did it. It's going to sound for those out there who were in the GTSC or just gaming. It's almost strange, but we made it very far into the competition just by our normal gaming habits. Which maybe yeah, we got till October without really having to try.
Well, true. Last year's the 2015 competition didn't really get started until October anyway, just due to the nature of the cutoffs, I think. So
yeah, there was a lot of casual gamers in there, and I almost feel I don't know how this will come across, but I almost feel sorry for them, because when you get it, there are people on True Achievements who are very hardcore, very very hardcore, even more hardcore than I am, and they I can only imagine that playing against some of the people we played with, it would have been daunting. I know that the winner was Redemption Denied, and he's number 5 on TA. He threw up on 100,000 points the last week.
Yeah, at least 100,000 TA.
Yeah,
I think it was about 40 or 50,000 gamer score in 1 week, which he'd of course been loading up all year.
Right.
And he was also doing a dual competition there, I think, with the Gamerscore League on XboxAchievements.com.
Was he? I didn't realize that. Huh.
Yeah, so he kept going after the final week of GTASC, because that competition goes to the end of the year, I think. So he put on something like 100,000 gamer score for that in the last couple of months of 2015.
Wow, and I was impressed by that. I mean, and this year, I looked at someone like Redemption who put up this obscene amount. What amazed me about that was that he actually didn't do as much gaming all year as he could have, because he was saving it all for the end. His team wasn't the first. I think they finished second, but just by himself, he threw down an incredible amount.
And that's taking away nothing from his team as well.
No.
Because his teammates all put on a lot of score, but they were just eclipsed by Redemption. And the team they were going against, of course, they'd been working on it all year, and probably some part of last year as well, because I think they got knocked out early in 2014 just by a freak elimination, and so they had all of their preloading from that year carry over into 2015, and they just blew everything away in that last week. It was pretty astounding, the scores that came out.
It was pretty astounding.
You mentioned in one of the posts, just following the GTASC, one of the recap posts there, that your wife had been rather ill, particularly during the latter stages of the GTASC, and I wanted to sort of just touch on that and see how that affected your sort of life gaming balance. How does gaming affect your sort of outside life happiness, I guess, the way to explain that. Do you find it gets in the way, or is it just part of your life and your family and so forth is kind of okay with that? How does that work?
It can. It can get in the way. There was a time when we moved around a lot. My wife, in her occupation, we both went through a lot of training, and what happened was that we moved around a lot to places that were rather remote, and it was a smarter move for the two of us to move to those places. So for a while, I didn't have much to do besides game. It's as strange as that might sound. Lucky me, right?
Right.
Right.
Sounds ideal.
Yeah. It was, but the one downside about having that kind of thing is that she's not really into gaming. So it's when I'm gaming and she's obviously not interested in it, it does make it a little bit difficult because I find myself saying, "Hey, I want to play with my friends," and oh yeah, by the way, they play at about 1:00 or 2:00 in the morning, and so there are times when it does get difficult. Especially in your competition, and you're in a competition as heavy as we were, throwing down some numbers that most people just kind of look at and stare at, and yeah, it does get in the way sometimes because I know couples that game together, the couples that game together stay together. We don't, but what's nice is right now we've got two televisions next to each other, so I can game on one TV and we can kind of watch a movie on the other TV, and I can game on kind of a casual gamer when it comes down to it. I don't like to play too much multiplayer, so I can kind of game on the side while while we're both watching a movie. That works, but it does get in the way sometimes, and that's when I kind of have to say, no, we're gonna stop now. I'm gonna focus on my wife and my life and school and those sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, I hope your wife is recovering and
she's doing much better now.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Firstly, the last question about you specifically would be why a female avatar?
Why? That's the question I get all the time. It kind of came out of this other game I used to play called Puzzle Pirates, and what happened was I kind of mixed around with several other characters and several avatars, and I had a male avatar, but I had just started the game, and I'm like, But the thing is that, and this is going to sound very silly or whatever, but the clothes on the guys weren't really. I didn't like the clothes on the guys. The women get to dress with all these really. I'm just going to try a female avatar just to kind of try it a little bit. Except that's the one that people started knowing me as. I didn't play much at all, but all of a sudden everybody started knowing that I was playing, and then they started inviting me to cruise, and you can't really switch back and forth between different characters and something like that. So I just kind of stayed with the female, and then after a while, I had been doing it for so long, and people, when you play on a game that where there's no talking, there's no chatting or anything, it's just what you write. People didn't realize for a very long time that I was male. Not that I was trying to hide it. I wasn't trying to act like a female. It's just I was just playing as me. Made some awkward, for some awkward times. And it's very interesting. Not that I really know what it's like to be a female gamer at all, but you do see the other side of it and say, wow, there's some really wonderful people out there who
I was going to ask if you'd ever been propositioned or anything like that.
My goodness, have I? Yes, and I'm just very polite. No, thank you. I'm not really interested. Without trying to say, I'm a guy, but because but at the same time,
that probably just make things worse.
Yeah, actually, that would because there is that almost like I don't know if it's a stigma or whatever. There's this. It gets very, people get very creeped out when they realize that I'm talking to a guy, and then they think that I'm trying to hide something. No, that's just what I'm playing. So I have the female avatar. It's basically the same avatar that I had in the game, the redhead.
And I guess the gamer tag as well is not obviously a male gamer tag. So Sasha Morning. So what's the origin of Sasha Morning itself?
I think it would take a little bit too long. I can't really explain it properly. But the Sasha came from it was just a name that I'd been kind of like throwing around something else. And actually, it was originally was because it's Alexander. It's a diminutive of Alexander in Russian. And I remember it was a game. I was trying to remember what game relatively recently I was playing. Oh, I know what it was. It was Metro. In the original Metro. The first one, 2033, there's a character that you're trying to save a little boy, and his name was Sasha. And so the idea, a lot of people tend to think of Sasha as a girl's name, but it isn't always a girl's name. In some places, it's strictly a boy's name. So,
so someone pointed out that Sacha Baron Cohen,
right.
Obviously. It's obviously not always a female name, but often associated with it.
More nowadays, and obviously, President Obama's daughter's name is Sasha, and but not just that. I mean, there are other Sashas out there that are female. So yeah, I mean, but the fact that my avatar and my gamer pick are both female, I mean, kind of might lend people to think that, but yeah, that's where it came from. Was this other game, and I just kind of kept with it because I've been using it for so long. So,
all right. Let's talk about your world record attempt.
Okay.
The first I heard of it was actually you simply announced it on your friend feed on TA, and I thought, oh, that's interesting because I was doing something similar myself. But you set, was it like 23,500 and something?
It was 23,301.
23,301. So you're not quite getting to the 1,000 points per hour mark, which is sort of the ideal, I think. But,
I was so ticked about that. I started falling asleep a little bit about probably 19, 20 hours into it. I started finding myself dozing, so I broke out the energy drinks and kind of got my friends into it because we had to have witnesses for the record attempt. And by the way, I'm still waiting for Guinness to recognize that. So it's not an official attempt. We do have videos. We do have I have the sworn statements, the witnesses, and everything like that, and everything except for I haven't actually gotten it approved. So
so I guess it might be just worth going through what the record attempt was and what you were trying to beat, because there is an existing record, of course.
There is an existing record, and I haven't looked at it recently. I know that back when I was doing it, it was I think 14,000 and change, which isn't shabby at all. There are some very strict standards that they hold to, and you have to have a brand new tag. You have to actually show the tag being created in the video. They want one complete take. And so you can't preload like we were talking about with what Redemption did for that one competition, which was great for the competition. It would have been great to be able to do that for this record, but you can't. You have to have a completely new gamer tag. You have to have completely new. You can't have any save files. I know that for some games you can have if you have another account signed in, you can use kind of like their perks and stuff like that. Couldn't do that. Yeah. I did have. I was allowed to use a second account on the same console for playing multiplayer games. I could play on the same console, but I had to create those tags as well at the same time. I had to create those on screen. So, and what else? It could only be on one console. I wasn't allowed to have two consoles next to each other. I had to do it no online gaming. I couldn't boost with myself. I couldn't switch out like a Japanese console. There's some very easy Japanese games. I had to pick one console and stay with it. I could have a second console as a backup, but I had to use just one console the entire time. I used True Achievements actually. I very, very quickly because I wanted to make sure that I can't register on True Achievements until I created the character. So very quickly I took the very beginning of the record attempt, the first minute or so, to make sure that I registered on True Achievements and bought a pro account so that I could keep everything in lifetime.
I did the same thing for my one.
Right.
And you can't even register it with 0 gamer score. You actually need to get an achievement on the account too. So
yep, that's exactly. So yeah, that's why I had to start the clock and then get an achievement and then switch that. So I was trying to go for I had 23,301. I was just shy. You mentioned that earlier. I was just shy of 1,000 an hour, and that was my goal. Was to hit 24,000. With some games that have come out more recently, I think that it'd be more possible to get that record, but I was starting to fall asleep, and a bad decision of mine. I didn't quite have the console set up on the TV the day of. I meant to set it up the day before, and and then go to sleep. But I ended up having to spend about 2 or 3 hours getting the TV set up and stuff. So yeah.
So it's all the prep work. It
really is.
It's not a simple thing, and making sure you get enough rest. On my own attempt with the team, I mean, I was there 3 or 4 hours before everybody sort of started doing things, and you really start to get tired later in there, particularly if you've already been awake for a certain number of hours before the attempt even begins.
Yep. And I did try to mix it up a bit. I put some Kinect games in there and didn't play those for a little bit, so that I knew that when I needed to stand up and stretch a bit, I could flip over to a Kinect game like some of the Let's Cheer. I did that one, and
yep.
I can't remember. There was something that one of the cheers. I can't remember what it was, but people were my friends were just kind of like saying that over again. I think it's defense, attack, push that offense back. And anything, the things that we do for Gamerscore, the things that we do.
Indeed, yep. I think a comment I read from Redemption Denied about Let's Cheer was it's one of those games that makes you really question your life decisions.
It's so true. There were Alvin and the Chipmunks. I don't think I actually got to Country All Stars, but that was another Kinect game
that's a classic game. That one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The easy ones, the Avatar, the 2K6 games, the sports games.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they're easy ones now. I could probably put in like Barbie. Yeah, you questioning your life decisions. Yeah, I'll play Barbie and her sister's Puppy Rescue for a while, and drive myself crazy in the process.
Yeah, I guess what actually inspired you to go for the attempt? What was the impetus?
No, I remember thinking to myself. I remember we were tossing around stuff with previous competitions. How much can you actually get in a year? And I know I'd seen that for a while. And I have friends that come over they've done it 3 years. We're getting ready for the 4th year this summer, if all goes well. And I knew they were coming over, and you know what? Let's just try it. Let me try and do that. And I was kind of thinking, oh well, it'll just be a day, and then everybody put that one day aside, and it became a 3-day event. But just with all the setup and prep and everything like that, and so I really have to give a shout out to my friends for being so patient and understanding with me on that. But I think it was just the case of how much can we do, and then I started looking at things and looking at what the actual record was, and saying, I think I can beat that. So
and you did beat that quite easily, as it turned out.
Yeah, I didn't think that I'd have that, but it was a case of I started pulling out games that I had and picking up some other games I didn't have, and started test timing them, and realizing that, oh wow, I think I could actually put that number fairly large. So so then I just kind of said, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I had to find out from Guinness what all the records were, where all the rules are. Yeah. Make sure that I'm not doing anything that's whatever. And
I think one of the hardest things for me was actually not so much doing the record, but actually just dealing with Guinness.
Oh goodness, yes.
That's probably another topic for another day. But just finding out how to actually apply and do a record properly to meet Guinness's requirements is quite difficult.
And I think it's a little bit difficult. I mean, the good thing, the nice thing about working with Guinness though is that you can do it for free. The larger records, if you want to have something huge, you're probably going to want to pay a lot of money to have someone come out and do that kind of thing. But a record like this, or many records that normal average people who don't have several $1 billion want to do this, you can do it for free. But the problem with that is that now you're dealing with you're put on the back burner, and that's I understand that. But when you're trying to get those rules, you try to get them clear, and you're not always sure you're dealing with the same person. In fact, I dealt with I think 3 different people. Things aren't consistent, and like, oh goodness,
Yeah, I've certainly seen some conflicting rules regarding the group record in particular.
Yeah,
I think I was speaking to one of the people who's done it, I think, twice. It's Griffey 95. And it's just the rules changed from year to year, and that seems really odd. And it also doesn't seem consistent. If you're going for a world record, you should be on the same rules that the previous record was on. And I don't understand how it can sort of change. But that's Probably not terribly fair on Guinness, given that they get so many record requests and attempts every year. It's a lot for them to keep up with, and for a free service, I mean, you get what you get, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It isn't really fair to criticize them too much because they do have so many to deal with, and they're doing it for free. So for us, they're doing it for free, and so I mean, at least there's that. But they're official, and people do know the name Guinness World Records, and so assuming that this actually does get made official, it'll be in the books. Their books, and you can check online records, and that'll be official.
Yeah.
So
there'll be a special gaming edition as well.
Yep,
it might make that. All right, so moving on. Every year, I think you have a special sort of gaming event which you called Sasha Palooza. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and what inspired that to happen?
I did not name that. For the record, I did not name that. I think I said we moved around a lot from my wife's career primarily. And we used to live out west, but we moved on to the East Coast. And it just so happened that where I moved to was central to some friends in the South, Florida, North Carolina, some friends in the North, up in New England. Not as close to the friends in Texas and California, but close enough that people from Illinois and Indiana could get here. So I logged on one night, talked to my friends, and someone's like, and by the way, we're all coming to your house for Sasha Palooza. I'm like, okay, what did I just get myself into? Well, we figured that you're the closest one because we had never met at the time. We didn't know each other. We knew each other online. We had no idea who we were, in person. So we're like, hey, we should do this. We should just get together and do this. So this summer of, I guess now it was I'd say I moved out here in 12, so it would have been 13. Everybody, kind of descended upon my house and had Sasha Palooza, which just because it was in my place. So, but
I think the name works well though.
Yeah, I think so. It is what it is. It's not me trying to be egotistical or anything, but just kind of it's kind of catchy a bit, I guess. But Montoya Palooza would work just as well, or Chris Palooza, whatever. It's just It was just kind of funny. But I also, we've got enough space in the house so people aren't quite, don't have to find hotels or anything like that. So it's a bit cheaper which is nice. But just fortunate enough to have that.
Is there going to be another one this year?
That's the plan. I have something I'm working on in July. It's probably going to kill my time for the summer, but we're planning on having it again this year, probably in August.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been great talking to you, and
thanks for having me. I appreciate that. Yep,
you're welcome. Thank you.
Yep, have a good one.
Well, it's a fantastic interview, Terrigan. Appreciate you taking time to do that. We're going to move into, this is something that we wanted to do at the start of every month, but because of how jam-packed the episode 3 was, we missed the first week in January. We are going to have a segment where we have monthly challenges, things that we want to try to get done every month, as far as getting gamer score, completing games, goals, overtake somebody, whatever. So what I wanted to do last week, because when I had made this goal of completing Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, I didn't think I was going to get The Hunt is My Mistress. I had really put a ton of time into that, and I was ready to just beat my head against the wall. And finally I unlocked that. So now, because I just have the Bright Lord DLC, I can't really stop at that being my only goal for January. So I've added the completing Disney Infinity 2.0 on the 360 as the secondary goal for January. I've already started doing that. I mentioned the XP boosting earlier in the show. I need 50 and 90 feats. I got my 50th right before recording tonight. I went and picked up my sidekick equipment, and the last thing I need to do, and this is kind of the beast, is the exploration survival mode, which is, if you're trying to do it solo, can take anywhere between 2.5 and 3.5 hours. You have to do it in one sitting without You can't stop, you can't save, you can't pause. It's just wave after wave. I think you got to go through 50 levels of bad guys. And if you lose your hero, if your hero dies or gets knocked off the edge or defeated in some way, that hero's done for. You have to put a new character on your pad. And so, early on it's not so bad, but once you start getting higher levels, if your other characters aren't leveled up, you're in trouble.
So does the actual character like burst into flames, like literally, or what happens?
Oh yeah,
there?
it melts.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets up and walks away.
Oh,
yeah. So Iron Man just walks right off your gamepad.
wow, that's hardcore.
No, you mean it just shuts her down. But I'll give a shout out to Big Easy 97. He and I are going to give this thing a whirl tomorrow, Sunday night. And so hopefully next week I will say the wonderful news: I've completed my goal. Don't know if that's going to happen, but we're crossing our fingers. The last thing, it's not a goal per se for January, but it is. So I had mentioned my goal for 2016 is I want to do 37 completions. That'll get me up to 120 lifetime. And on the Achievement Hounds forums, they're Hyrule Balverine. So shout out to you, Hyrule. You posted in the book club saying, here's a challenge that's floating around Facebook on reading books of certain categories. I hate reading. I hate books. They're, if it's good enough, they'll make a movie out of it, and then they'll ruin it with the movie. Anyway, I don't read a lot. I don't have a lot of time. I'd rather play video games. So I thought, hey, I got these 37 completions I want to do. I should come up with a list of challenges for my completions. And so I posted this over at the Achievement Hounds forum. You're free to go there. I am tossing out a prize. So if you complete, I'm doing 37. You can do more. I don't care if you do more. You got to hit at least 37. And they're just kind of fun little, complete a game in the stealth or survival horror genre. Complete a game that uses a peripheral. Complete a 200-point XBLA title. Just silly, fun challenges. Nothing that's too crazy. You can only have one game per challenge. So like Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, that could be my open world action adventure sandbox game. That can be my game that has 50 or more achievements. That could be my game that has 2 DLCs at least. Anyway, there's multiple options you can kind of apply. Have fun, go nuts. Follow me along on my journey of trying to complete these things. I'm not even sure I can get 37 games completed in a year. That seems lofty for me, maybe not for others, but there it is. It'll be in the show notes. You can take a look at that. Terrigan, how about you?
Well,
what are your goals for
I
January?
happen to like that particular concept quite a lot, so I've borrowed it as well. So I've actually posted it on my blog, and I'll be starting to try and fill out those particular criteria too. So I've actually made it the goal for this month to try and knock out at least 3 of those. From the completion challenge. The other thing that's going on is I really do want to try and have a good hard shot at my random to-do list. That's Facial Fleur's the Great Random To-Do List Challenge. There's only a few months left to kind of do that, and I want to actually give it a real shot. So I want to try and unlock at least 10 off my random to-do list by the end of the month.
How many do you have left?
Still got about 84 or so. So there's actually
I'm at 83.
Yeah, well, there's still quite a lot to go there, and a lot of them are actually quite low ratio, so I should be able to knock out at least 10. Basically, my approach to that entire list has been working on the hardest ones first. So obviously it's been quite slow. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to try and aim for this month.
Yeah, the bummer of my list is when I first got it, it contained $82 worth of DLC.
Oof.
I was like, ugh. Well, I'll wait for a sale and see if it ever comes up. And then I got sidetracked with GTA SE, the Great True Achievement Score Challenge, and the poor random to-do list fell by the wayside. I still got my Excel sheets and stuff where I'm tracking what I did. I think I unlocked one back in December or November or something for fun, but it's a little. It's a little slow going when you got some of those on there that are just like, oh man, I gotta do that.
Yeah, I think. Well, the last one I did was the Totem Ball one, which I brought up in the other show.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is with the little jazz hands thing. So that was actually quite fun and probably one of the higher ratio ones off the list. It didn't turn out to be that difficult, which was quite nice.
Well, what I like is it gets you back into your backlog.
Absolutely,
There's like it'll pull the most random achievements out. You're just like, oh my god, why didn't I do that already? You just forget about these games.
I can't even remember playing this game.
Right? That's on my tag? What the heck? Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of games that are on your tag, Terragins, why don't you give us a Gamerscore boot camp? Find us some easy Gamerscore, will you?
Today's Gamerscore boot camp is the Peanuts movie Snoopy's Grand Adventure. This is a full retail game available for both the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and for Gamerscore purposes would be best rented. The gameplay is basic 2D platforming. You play as Snoopy, traversing several worlds to find your missing friends. Each world is broken into 4 regular levels and a boss level. There are only 4 achievements that require any special care to unlock on the 360 version. The Xbox One version is identical, except it has 1 extra achievement, which I'll go into later. You can unlock 930 points on the Xbox One or 900 points on Xbox 360 in about 2 to 3 hours. The final achievement is fairly time-consuming and should be skipped if you're only after quick points. This game takes about 6 to 8 hours total for the completion. The majority of achievements are based on level progression and unlocking costumes, which will come naturally through gameplay. If you plan to complete the game, you will need to collect every Jelly Bean and Beagle Scout from every level. However, there is no point going for this until you've unlocked all of the costumes. Don't even bother collecting anything until the Master of Disguise achievement pops near the end of the Parisian Underground levels. Just race through the levels as quickly as possible. If you aren't trying for the completion, the Skies of Paris levels are the easiest place to unlock the Jelly Beans achievement for collecting all the Jelly Beans in a single level. There is an achievement for beating the first boss without being hit. Once you get to this boss fight, you can restart it without voiding the achievement, so keep retrying until you pass it unscathed. The other boss stages have no similar achievements. The achievement Chop 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 requires floating for 5 seconds. It's highly likely you will get this through natural play, but if not, find a level with a bit of a hill, jump off it and glide for as long as you can. Fairly easy. The achievement Arf 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 requires jumping on 3 enemies in a row without touching the ground. Again, you will probably unlock this through natural play. The final achievement worth noting is specific to the Xbox One version and requires a second controller. Simply move the left stick on the second controller to activate one of the marked Woodstock triggers, and 40 Gamerscore is yours. And that rounds up today's Gamerscore Bootcamp.
Well, fantastic. Thanks for that, Terragon. Charles Schultz will be proud that you're playing his Snoopy games. You know, he's from Minnesota, by the way. Anyway, let's move on to some knobs and discos. Crandy, what can you tell us about some unobtainable and discontinued achievements out there?
This is Randy here with this week's Knobs and Discos. First off, we have the Ace Mountain achievement in Lovely Planet is currently unobtainable. The final level in the game does not award stars, which makes it impossible to unlock all stars in Mountain. The developer is aware of the issue and is working on a patch, so hopefully we'll see this one fixed soon. Next, we have the Path to Truth achievement in Standpoint, and that one is currently unobtainable. Next, we have the We Are Live achievement in NBA Live 16 for completing a big moment challenge within 24 hours of it being posted. For a long time, EA did not post any challenges, and now that they finally are, it turns out the achievement does not work correctly, making it unobtainable. Doesn't seem like EA is supporting it or acknowledging that it's unobtainable, so that one's probably going to stay that way. Next, Plague Inc. Evolved. The Future is Bright achievement for ending a game with apes and humans living together peacefully, and that is currently unobtainable. Finally, we have Fermi's Path with 2 unobtainable achievements. The Graviton achievement for completing 23 levels in a path mode on the difficulty setting Easy, and the Neuro Sublimation achievement for achieving a score of at least 3150 on the level Neuro Sublimation. There are no discontinued achievements and no buggy achievements this week. And that concludes Knobs and Discos.
All right, and let's move into the game delay roundup. Mentioned at the top of the show, we have seen our first major delays of 2016, and it's been 9 days. Like, they did not waste any time saying, yeah, remember when we said 2016? That's not going to happen. Yeah, right? The big one came out first, screaming, Scalebound. What Xbox's gigantic flagship, one of the 3 pillars of things that you should look forward to in 2017. There's a lot of exclusive games coming out in 2016. Scalebound is being pushed until 2017. My personal hope is that this time that they're going to take, they completely redo the main character.
I think I remember you talking about
douchebag, yeah, with his beats and whatnot. Oh my god, I cannot stand this character. He might grow on me, but everything I've seen so far, I just want to punch my face. It's unbelievable. The game looks fun. I think it'll be great. I'm excited about it, but I'm gonna have to wait a whole year. But you can imagine that E3 is going to have plenty of Scalebound news and showcasing all the fun things that they're adding, and hopefully it comes out nice and smooth. You looking forward to Scalebound? Does that do anything for you?
To be honest, it's really been off my radar.
Really?
Yeah, I think the most I've sort of heard of it has actually been about the delays, believe it or not. Yeah,
Fantastic.
So I haven't really paid a lot of attention to it. I guess the storyline, from what I've seen of it, didn't really appeal. But yeah, I guess that's just me.
You know, maybe it was Platinum Games they just put so much time and effort into the unannounced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan game that has been outed by Brazil, and now has an achievement list on the site.
It's coming. It's coming.
It is a non-announced game. What are you waiting for? Anyway, good on you, Platinum. I like Platinum. I think they do a fantastic job with their hack and slash games. It's just, they're wonderful stuff. Now, I don't know if I can consider this a game delay. I mean, yes, it is, because they did say that ReCore, the game one of my most excited games for 2016, that was supposed to come out in the spring, which I thought was lofty when I first heard it, has been corrected on Engadget as the source to the latter part of 2016. They had made some comments in an interview, and Microsoft reached back out and corrected and said, "Yeah, it's actually made late 2016."
Well, technically they haven't. It's not wrong, because in the Southern Hemisphere it will actually be spring around that time.
There you go. That was sneaky, sneaky. Do you think that's a good angle? Hey, we said spring. Oh, we meant Australia's spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I could see how that would be confusing, because nobody uses that terminology, but it really helps because it makes us not look terrible. That we're not delaying things. Terrigan, why don't you take this last one? I am so confused by this announcement.
This one's a bit weird. This was actually the Xbox Wire itself. They listed all of the games that they're coming out with in 2016, and they mentioned that the Crackdown multiplayer section's coming out in summer 2016. Now, and that's pretty much all we know about that, but it does suggest that the single-player component of the game will be separate and released at a different time, which seems a bit weird. But
it blows my mind.
However, a lot of the sort of the big tech demo stuff they've been doing for Crackdown 3 has been about the multiplayer stuff. So maybe it's just they've had less work to do with that, and they're still working on the kind of the campaign or whatever. But yeah, it was a bit of an oddity. I
mean, let's wildly speculate. Like, is this? Did it say beta? I don't remember if it said beta. It says the multiplayer. It said multiplayer, right?
It said multiplayer, yep.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, so now, could there possibly be 2 separate games? I mean, could they release 2 separate, like Crackdown 3, destroy Port Town, or what is the name of that town? Steel Town?
Electric Boogaloo or something?
I forgot the name of the city already. It's not Steelport. That's Saints Row.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember either. Anyway, Crackdown City. And then Crackdown Gangs of City that we don't remember the name for.
But would really sell as a multiplayer only game. I mean, people like to get their orbs in single player, surely.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think. I mean, the big thing that they pushed was in the multiplayer, the complete destruction of the term, 100% destruction.
A lot of some of the things I've read about this actually is that they're kind of using it as a big test case for cloud technology. The other company sort of behind, or there was a company kind of formed specifically for the Crackdown 3 multiplayer and that whole cloud-based processing stuff. So it's really essentially a big kind of proof of concept tech demo kind of thing before they apply it to other games or other games primarily. So it'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, I'm still a bit confused about the whole split of a single player multiplayer. And does that mean if you buy the game as a single player component coming later? Who knows?
Yeah, then that's kind of, I mean, I would not be surprised if they change that multiplayer to like open beta or some type of like, technically this isn't the finished game. Or you know what they might do is the Xbox One preview. What is it? The game?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the game preview program.
Program. Yeah, maybe that's what they'll kind of do it as, and then have a. I'm not going to say definitive edition because those are all remasters, but like a complete package where it's, hey, yeah, we're going to we'll add the single player content at full release when it comes out of game preview program. Maybe something to look for. I don't know. Hey, maybe we'll get 2 achievement lists. Who knows?
That can only be good, right?
I would hope so.
Maybe.
So we have our backwards compatibility roundup. There's a little bit of news that has come out.
Yeah, I spotted this on Reddit. There's been, apparently, there's been an update to the backwards compatibility emulator for some titles. It's actually improved the performance significantly for those titles. So if you're having trouble with backwards compatibility in some of your titles earlier, try them again now because they may well have updated and be working better now.
Is Halo Reach on that list?
I think it was, actually. I think that was one of the ones that was tested.
I mean, that was the one that, pushed them to be like, oh, we got to fix some of this. This is...
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly...
super smooth with those XBLA titles, but now we're getting some bigger dogs out there. It's getting a little wonky.
Certainly, I think some of the ones in the Rare Replay package as well were having a bit of trouble in certain areas. So they've improved some of those too. But it seems a little bit of a stealth update. I haven't seen any sort of official news about it other than people reporting that it is playing better now.
Wonderful. That's fantastic to hear. Finally... This is indeed finally the Zombie News Corner. Freem Zombie News Corner. I have unearthed some zombie news. I got 2 pieces here. So the first one, and I've had this all week, The Walking Dead released their mid-season trailer for this upcoming half of Season 6. It releases on February 14th, so happy Valentine's Day to all you brain-eating zombies. I'm not going to talk about the trailer because tell you the truth, I'm behind on watching the show.
What? You call yourself a zombie file?
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's when I sit down in front of the TV and it's like I could watch TV or I got some gamer score to go get, and so I always turn on my Xbox instead of watching DVR.
You can snap Netflix, right?
I don't have Netflix. You got an account for me to boost off of? Share with me.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after the show.
You know what I could do, though, while I set up my XP grinder thing here on Disney Infinity, I could be watching my Walking Dead. Anyway, Andrew Lincoln, Rick Grimes, he told Telegraph, I'll read his quote here, "When we start filming a season, I don't want to know if anyone's died. It's sort of a courtesy to the rest of your cast. Even though I'm an actor, I'm a very bad liar." And what I appreciated about this is because he went on to talk about, he's like, it'd be weird if, I know, because I've read the script, that you're dead, and, I go out to have lunch with you, and it's like, yeah, hey, okay, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be friends after this because you're gonna be eaten soon. You're not gonna hang out with me next season. So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny, and it's interesting. He says also when they film those scenes, they're kind of reading it for the first time. That it's a surprise to them as well. Oh my gosh, this person who and I'm not gonna say it. There was a character who died at the end of mid-season 4? Anyway, a character who died that caught me by surprise, but then, they showed like after the credits and everything, kind of like some behind the scenes stuff where it was very clear that they didn't know this was going to happen. And like there were some really emotional moments when they filmed that, and it's like it was cool.
I'm not sure exactly, as I haven't actually watched The Walking Dead since season 1. I think I finished season 1 and didn't watch from there. But I have read the comics. I've read all the comics. I'm up to date with that. So I'm kind of guessing at which character dies. That would be a surprise because it was a pretty big surprise in the comics.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. So I'm if it's who I think it is, then that would be pretty shocking particularly for the actors involved if they didn't know it was going to happen.
Right. So anyway, and then the second piece of news I found zombie related, and unfortunately it's not Xbox yet, but there's a possibility. This popped up on Twitter literally when I was shutting down my computer. I checked Twitter before I left, and I was like, oh my God, a zombie game I've never heard of? And so I hit the little heart, which I wish, it might as well be a thumbs up. Why are you trying to be... Anyway, that's a different topic.
It's a Facebook trademark, I think.
Oh, there you go. I hit the heart, and all of a sudden the company turns around and favorites me or follows me on Twitter. I'll give them a shout out. The game is called Moving Hazard. It's a game that's supposed to be released here in February. It's going to be on PC. It is it's being co-developed by PsyOp Games and IllFonic. So these two American-based developers creating a PC game. So essentially, watching the trailer, it's like Call of Duty Zombies or Counter-Strike Go or whatever. Your first-person shooter, military shooter, filled with zombies. The key is it's not zombies mode in the traditional sense of you're just killing zombies. You can do that. There's plenty of zombies to kill, and it's fun. But the key is you're still going against an opponent. So it's like team deathmatch with zombies. So if you think of like Halo, Halo Warzone, you've got red versus blue and critters. This is, good guys versus bad guys and zombies. But not only are the zombies just there, because they kind of did that in Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, although that was a third-person point of view, which was terrible. This is first-person shooter. You get to use the zombies as weapons. And so, they have some concept art here.
That sounds very Dead Rising.
Yeah, even in the trailer, you can throw things at the zombies to enrage them, and then they just start tearing off toward your enemies like a swarm to go and eat them. They also have this is my favorite concept art. It's a box, like a shipping container with a parachute. Kind of looks like a Fulton, only it's reverse. You're dropping these boxes in, and when it hits the ground, the crate is filled with zombies. So it's like a care package.
It's a zombie bomb.
Yeah, it's a zombie bomb. And they're like, I think this could be just super fun. I would love, so if Moving Hazard is the game, PsyOps, IllFonic. If you happen to hear this show, I'll reach out to you too. Maybe we can talk. Please port this over to Xbox One. Talk to Microsoft. If you're working on it, fantastic. If you're not working on it, give them a call. I would love to see this game on the Xbox platform. So there you guys have it. That is the Zombie News Corner. Check them out. MovingHazard.com. It looks kind of cool. I like zombies. If you didn't know.
Wow.
I do. So with that said,
zombies. You sure?
Zombies. 100%.
Okay. You just
Did
never
I tell
mentioned
you
this
about my
before.
machete? Let's finish out the show here. Thanks again so much for everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. It was fun. Crandy, thank you for stopping by earlier. He had to dip out. I don't know. Maybe he had to go to In-N-Out Burger or something. Who knows?
I think he went to play Girl, probably.
You know what he went to go do? He went to go find out if Watch Dogs 2 is actually being made.
That's true. Yeah, he's probably
That's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
He's our on the field reporter. But What else we could use as help is if you, our wonderful listeners, could take a moment of your time. If you enjoyed the show, if you want to hear more of these shows, give us a rating on iTunes, Google Play, wherever you listen to the podcast. It is a free way to support the show. The better the review, the more reviews we get, the more people we can reach and can see that we're coming up with this podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Our website, you can come and download all the shows as well. You can send comments. You can send us emails. It's z2z.com. There you will have all of our show notes, links to all the fun things we discussed, achievements and otherwise. Contact directly. Twitter, best way. That's at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED, or emailing us, contact@z2z.com. Again, the leaderboard over at True Achievement is another fantastic way for us to reach you. If you join the TA leaderboard, that's trueachievements.com. Search for Z2Z in the leaderboards. That is a way we can send out mass emails. If we have contests, we have prizes, we have a new show. That is a fantastic avenue for us to reach you. Want to give a quick shout out to all of the sites that made Achievement Hunting a reality. We've got TrueAchievements.com mentioned multiple times. Achievement Hounds podcast. Thank you so much, guys. The XboxAchievements.com, Rooster Teeth, and the Achievement Hunters. I mean, there's so many dedicated sites out there. Last but not least, as far as entities are concerned, Microsoft and the Xbox console. We have so many people that we need to thank for getting this show up and running, specifically from the True Achievements team, True Achievements himself, Rich Stone, WebChimp UK, Jack, Dave Kinetic, Raven Moragana. Thank you so much, you guys, for all the help that you've had with us. From the Achievement Hound side, Sea Monkey Powder, Cursed Souls, NBA Kirkland, Montana 97, thanks for the tweet earlier, X Towers helping us out on episode 2, Facial Floor, all your comments, the fun contest you run, and the hosts of the Achievement Hounds podcast and community podcast, Kyle, Franco, Eric, Griffey, Nighty, Oz, Cooper. You gave me a place that I could hone my skills to get this thing up and running. We've got a couple other mentions. Nick Monfries, thank you for all the work that you've done with us. Twitter, KM Deacon, McLovin Legend 1, C-Wing 302, Slim Davy, and Eric Wiles Ninja Star. Thank you so much for reaching out to us on Twitter. The iTunes review, Jelly55TYUIO, could not thank you enough for getting this ball started. I gave you a thumbs up that this review was helpful. I feel guilty if I reviewed my own podcast, but I probably will do it anyway. And then Facebook, Ben Hall, Sean Mura, Matsu, Dave Soto, and my brother